Welcome to EnigmaCast, nerds, and boy, do I have a treat for you guys tonight because y'all don't know this. Y'all don't know this. I don't sit around and just do these videos for fun. I get on the street, right? And people don't believe me when I say I get on the street. I went to my very first ever Bigfoot conference in Pennsylvania and made a bunch of friends, and I actually found one of the world's renowned Bigfoot researchers, Chuck Larson. Chuck Larson is going to be joining us tonight. Chuck, thanks for coming on the show, buddy.
Hey, thanks, brother. I appreciate it.
No, man, thanks for coming on. So to give everybody a quick rundown, when I did a live, Chuck was one of the guys that I was talking to there. Chuck was emceeing the event, and it was a really good event. Chuck, can you tell me the name of that? It was 3 hours away from me. Where was that at in Pennsylvania?
It was Elusive, Pennsylvania.
Okay, yeah. And I even said in my my live, if you're not going there, you're not going to find it. But
Yeah,
it was awesome, right? It was awesome, right? And so I had a great time. Met Chuck, was emceeing the event, got to hear a lot of good researchers talk, and I'm gonna tell you how me and Chuck hit it off, right? Real quick before I dig into how awesome Chuck is. Sasquatch Steve, the one-eyed wonder on my channel, is actually from New Jersey, and I gave him a hard time about people being from New Jersey. There's no way people from New Jersey hunt cryptids. And to humble me, God sent me who? A man who hunts cryptids from New Jersey. Chuck.
from the NJ, yep.
That's what I get for bullying Steve. All right, Chuck, you're awesome, man. So, Chuck, welcome to the show, man. I'm so glad you're here. And before we get into it, Chuck, I just want to say thank you very much, man, for coming on. Your YouTube channel is amazing. As always, all that information will be in the channel description down below. So, Chuck, just to get right into this, man, tell all my Enigmites everything about you, Chuck. Where are you from? Let's start with you, man.
All right. Well, I'm from Northwest New Jersey, Sussex County, which happens to be where the Appalachian Trail runs through New Jersey. So we do have, some encounters up there in NJ. But basically, I've been doing this. I don't know. It's weird. I'm 53, so I had a lot of my experiences before the internet. So, I would be hiking around and you'd get, you either feel weird or you hear something weird and you're like, you don't even know what to think about it. And then, Finding Bigfoot show came out and, Google came out and now you're able to look up different stuff. So I guess officially I've been doing this for like 5 or 6 years. Unofficially, probably about 40 years because,
Right.
If I knew what I was supposed to be looking for, then I would have been doing it sooner. But
Yeah.
yeah.
Oh, that's amazing, Chuck. That's amazing. I wanted to give a shout out real quick before we move forward. The name of that Bigfoot conference was the Central Pennsylvania Bigfoot and Cryptid Conference, correct?
Yes, sir. Yeah, Central Pennsylvania Bigfoot and Cryptid Festival.
Festival by Gwen
Yeah,
Purcell, who I'm actually working with to get on the channel as well. So Gwen Purcell, that was a lot of fun. Yeah, that was a lot of fun. I had a good time there. That was a good time. All right, Chuck. So Northern Jersey boy, but you got street cred because the Appalachian Mountains are no joke. I grew up in the upper East Tennessee, right along the Virginia, North Carolina border, smack dab at the mountain range when it goes down. And the Appalachian Mountain Trail runs from Canada basically straight down all the way into Georgia, except literally 2 days ago, I don't know if you heard this or not, Chuck, they actually discovered a cave system at the tip that runs from Georgia all the way down into Alabama.
Really?
Yeah.
Oh, wow.
It was amazing. I've actually always thought, just myself, man, I've actually always thought, I know that in the area where I grew up in the upper East Tennessee, I call it the slant, between the Western Carolina border, easily 400 miles. I've always thought there's easily 400 miles of cave systems just in there, right? And there's all kinds of caves.
I'm sure.
Yeah. And so, yeah, it's amazing, right? So, all right. So, Chuck, been doing this for all of his life, been doing it 6 years pretty hard, right?
Yeah. Well, how we got into this is, I was always interested in Bigfoot. You know what I mean? There was an incident that happened back in the late 70s in Sussex County, and it made the newspapers. It was basically about this family I think they were called the Sight family, and they had this like apple orchard on their on their farm, and they also had this rabbit cage, like all these pet rabbits. And this thing one night came into on their property and kind of ripped through the rabbit coop and started, tearing up the rabbits and eating them. So the next morning, the family finds this. And then that night, they had all the neighbors came around with guns, and they were waiting for this thing, and the thing came back again, and they started shooting at it, and the thing kind of disappeared into their apple orchards. But that happened in 1977. Mm-hmm. And right about that time is when I was able to get books about the Patterson-Gimlin film, and because that came out in '67, I believe. Mm-hmm. But it was finally making on In Search of, and different. It was making its way into pop culture.
Yeah.
I think the $6 Million Man was I think it was in 1975 or 76. Andre the Giant played Bigfoot in the one episode. So, and then you had the famous the 4-wheel drive truck, the Bigfoot truck. So it was always on your mind. But so at a young age, I was always interested in it. Mm-hmm. And then it kind of went away, because I live an hour from Manhattan, and I work, spend a lot of time in Manhattan. Obviously, when I was late teens and 21 and early 20s, you're always in the city and doing things. So hiking and Bigfoot is the last thing from your mind. Mm-hmm. But then once I got a little older and I was able to go back out hiking again, and you remember, oh, okay, yeah, that there's Bigfoot. Also, when I was 25, I drove across country with my buddy. He was, and I don't want to go off on a little tangent, but he actually graduated from Columbia University with a journalism major, right. And he wanted to get on TV as a reporter. So we loaded up his Jeep Wrangler. We had 2 mountain bikes and tents, and he had 28 VHS tapes that he made up of him doing news reports. And we drove across country. We first stopped in Denver, and we made our way through Arizona and New Mexico. We were basically going to these smaller towns, look for satellites, and they're basically TV stations. We'd pull in. He'd run in and be like, hey, I'm driving across country. You have a chance to talk to me? And for most, probably 26 out of 28 times we stopped, they would give him an interview.
That's actually really cool. That's awesome.
It was just really cool. It was a really cool experience. We saw Grand Canyon. We saw the Badlands. We saw Yosemite. We saw, Zion. Mm-hmm. But we went up to, we took the PCH north of the Golden Gate Bridge up to Eureka. Mm-hmm. And you take a right turn because his family lived by Mount Shasta. So you're driving on that road, and you're in the Hopa, I guess that's the Indian reservation. And all of a sudden, we actually drove through Willow Creek. So you just all of a sudden out of nowhere, you see Bigfoot museums pop up. You see the Bigfoot motel. And I'm like, but I really wasn't into it. I am now, and I'm like, I kick myself every day because I'm like, I was just in the epicenter of Bigfoot, and I was driving. Oh, it was awful, but yeah. So those were that kept me kind of interested, and then finally, not to come back, to reel it back in. You gotta warn me, Chuck. Hey, Chuck, reel it in, man. Quit going off on a tangent.
No, hey, look, Chuck, man. This show is the king of going off on tangents. I was talking about the 1973 Pascagoula incident last night, and I somehow got on dropping nukes. I don't know how it happened. So it just happened, and I had to steer it back, man. So now, man, tangents are encouraged around here, man.
That's awesome. That's so awesome. So yeah, so I in my mid late 30s, 40s, I start hiking again, and it starts interesting me. I'm starting to get interested again because of the internet, and then Finding Bigfoot came on, and I was like, this is awesome. I could sit in my living room, watch these guys go out looking for Bigfoot, and and it was a regular show, and I was like, every week I was glued to my TV. My dad would make fun of me because he doesn't believe in that shit, and none of my family. I think my 10-year-old nephew he was he's being very cordial with me and just being like, okay, let's let Chuck talk about Bigfoot. And I think he thinks I'm nuts, but yeah, anyway, so I'm watching this film, and then all of a sudden it goes off air. Like, oh man, this is, it's like a big void. So I start going through YouTube and looking for videos, and I find this, I'm not going to mention his name because I'm not, but I find this show that's, and I'm like, oh, let me start watching this guy. And one of the videos he did was from Sparta Mountain, which is the mountain in my town. And I'm like, wait a second.
Subscribe now and turn on the notifications to join us on this extraordinary journey into the unknown.